Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Slipstream F1 Championship. As last week at Singapore, we learned that Bronson Stafford won the Drivers' Championship. This week, it's all about constructors. And for the next couple of weeks, my name is Sam Dyer. With me is Anthony McCurry. And Anthony, we've been watching practice, and it looks like it's going to be in dominating fashion once again by Bronson. But some drivers might be finding some speed later on. Only time can tell, though.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those races where we have to just wait and see, because everyone in practice has kind of had some ups and downs. They've had different tire compounds that they've been working around with, trying to find out what the best route around the track is. But so far, Bronson Stafford is the only one that's been able to consistently do it, as he has been nailing a lot of these turns. He actually spins it around going down into the hairpin. So he's not even going to get a fast lap on the softs, although he is leading the table at the moment on the hard tire. So that kind of gives you a sense of what the race is going to be like. But as you said, we've already crowned a champion in the drivers, but we still have the Constructors' Championship to go through. Now, Ferrari comes in second place right now to AlphaTauri, but there's only one AlphaTauri here tonight. Both the Ferraris are here. So you can expect that Ferrari's going to make up something. It's just how much is the question, because Logan Brakey down there in 7th place on the timetable. Don't know if that's going to transfer over to qualifying, but certainly not good news right now for the Ferraris.
Yeah, I mean, with Brakey, he did wreck out early during practice here, as we are now coming to the end stages of practice with less than 10 seconds officially for drivers that are on out laps. They need to cross the line now. Looking like we're going to be having just our top 5 out on track. Bronson's already wrecked out his wing, so not expecting him to put a fast lap down just yet. Coming across the line is going to be the balded one, aka Matt Dyer, who comes across the line. Still going to be in second place, not able to advance himself, as Duncan McCammick's going to be up into 4th place. Spencer Hardison, a driver that, you know, we were watching on the harder compounds and was kind of running just as fast as Bronson Stafford at times. So maybe this McLaren has some speed, as the session now is over for practice, as drivers are now going to be setting up for their one-shot qualifying, where all the drivers are going to be taking off at the same time, and we'll figure out who will get the quality and get the podium and get the pole position, as Bronson Stafford going to be first during practice. The balded one, Spencer Hardison, Duncan McCammick, as well as JD, going to be our top 5.
Yeah, that's a pretty diverse top 5 as compared to earlier on the season. The Renault team, as we've mentioned, has gotten speed throughout the entire second half of the season. Only one car here tonight. That would be Matt Dyer. Gilberto Javier not going to be making the start. Spencer Hardison has put together quite a run in the later stages of the season in the McLaren. He has gotten consistent top 5s ever since Silverstone. He's made the podium at least twice. So we're looking to see if Spencer Hardison can put himself on the podium for I believe that'd be his 3rd time being on the podium. If not, it's his 2nd time. I'd have to.
It would be his second.
His
It would
second
be
time.
second time. Drivers with multiple podium finishes would be Bronson with his 11, with 11 wins as well. Brakey has 6, JD has 6, Dyer has 5. And that's very impressive by Dyer. If he was starting out the whole entire season, I'm really wondering where he would be points-wise. And I believe those are the only 4 drivers with multiple podiums. Everyone else that has one, that'd be Spencer Hardison, as well as Caleb Smith, and also Trenton Jump. Those are the 3 drivers with just one podium for themselves. But, you know, Anthony, coming to the end of this season with just a handful of tracks left, and we already know who the driver champion is, with Bronson Stafford winning all 11 races so far, trying to sweep the whole entire season here with qualifying starting. Is there really anyone that honestly could challenge Bronson at the moment that we can really see so far? Or is it really just the Ferrari team have to just run consistently and try to get in the podium every single time they can?
The only one close enough in the Constructors' Championship to take over AlphaTauri is Ferrari. They have made every single race so far this season, as well as AlphaTauri. Some of these teams that have come in haven't had they haven't been here for the whole season, so they really don't have a shot. But some of these teams that have been here for the whole season as well, that being one Haas has not really had the most, I don't want to be mean, but it really hasn't had the runs that they've been needing to get up to battle for this championship lead in the constructors. But yeah, Ferrari is the only one that really can get there. As we look at the timetables right now, Bronson Stafford's got a pretty considerable lead in qualifying. Spencer Hardison and Duncan McCamick is running third place. Now second place goes McCamick. Those two swapping it back and forth. Red Bull might be on the front row of this race. They might get two of their cars up in the top four.
Yeah, JCW going to be in fourth place. As you saw on camera, as Caleb Smith, he spun around, just going to end his day. Dyer, the balded one, he also came off the track, as well as Trenton Jump. I don't believe Tanner Johnson ever started qualifying. He'll be starting all the way in last place in 11th. As coming around the bend is going to be Bronson Stafford with the pole position. Spencer Hardison going to be getting second, and Duncan McCamick going to be getting third place on pole. Breaky able to come up to a fourth place, pushing down JCW down to fifth.
Yeah, that is a pretty diverse top five that we're going to be starting this race with, including both the Red Bulls, which I don't think that both the Red Bulls have started that high all season long. So take a look at your top, or take a look at your starting order. We have AlphaTauri McLaren on the front row. Then we have Red Bull Ferrari, which is something that they needed to have happen. They needed to get a good qualifying spot. They're going to get row 2. Not quite a Red Bull lockout for row 2, but we do the same thing in the next row with Red Bull Ferrari again. Haas, Renault, Alfa Romeo, Mercedes, and then Haas at the bottom of the table. Take a look, though. That one down there, the Renault of Matthew Dyer, that's the lowest we've seen him qualify pretty much all season. So he's going to be having to make up a pretty considerable run to get back to the front of the field. And as you know, Suzuka is not one of the easiest Sector 1s that we have in our series. It's a really twisty bunch of S's that start, and we might be having some rain for this race, which is something that I don't think any of us really considered.
It looks like it's cloud cover. I don't believe there's rain just yet on the surface of the track, but the potential of rain is looming over here. And advantage that a driver could have to keep up with Bronson Stafford or the other drivers in front of you, and just allowing you to just have ERS as your overtake ability. It's going to be interesting for these drivers for sure, as the session is starting to get going here. The formation lap about to get started. But Anthony, speaking of Dyer and the fact that he was going to be starting so far back, saw that there were two other drivers, including that Renault team, that are going to be starting on mediums in our top 10. Is that something to watch out for, as the graphic will pop up of the drivers and their stances and the different ways that they can run with the medium tires at the start? But how are you feeling about some of these drivers with the different tire strategies?
We've seen a number of different tire strategies throughout the season so far, and usually it's Bronson Stafford starting on a harder tire compound than most of the field. This race, he's starting on the softest one. So, we don't really see Bronson Stafford start on the softest one a lot, but he is doing so. So he's going to get a pretty big advantage if his car really is up to snuff. Now, the mediums can last considerably amount longer than the softs can. At this track, given that the first section of the racetrack, the curves through up to the Dunlop curve, is going to be pretty hard on the tires. Tire wear is going to be of a concern for a lot of these teams, especially some of these teams that don't have very good aerodynamics that they have to overcome if they want to have something happen with them. So tire wear for the soft guys, tires are going to go off pretty quickly. But if rain comes, then everyone has to go to inters or mediums, full wets. I really think that if it goes to that, then the tire that you want to be on for the rest of the race would be the mediums, because then they would last the longest throughout this twisty track and might have the best shot at taking a win here.
As you saw there, the potential, if you're going to be doing a two-stop, is soft, medium. And if you're on the soft still, you can try a one-stop or going to the softs to the hard to finish out this race. I'd imagine, though, if you're starting on the softs, the faster strategy would be soft, medium, just because of how quick they've been. And sometimes here with it being a 50% race instead of a 100% race, these drivers felt like, hey, let's not go to the hards, just losing way too much time, and those tires just do not get into really the groove that they need to be in at the end of this race.
Yeah, no kidding. It's going to be a Tires, like I said, are going to be of a big concern for a lot of these drivers, but we got a long way to see what's going to happen. 27 laps is going to be here today at Suzuka. Long track, not going to be quite as long as we had at Singapore. The marathon at Singapore being the longest track on the circuit in terms of lap time, but turn one is going to be an issue here as we're going to get these guys ready to go. We're waiting for the lights to start. The Slipstream Formula One Japanese Grand Prix.
Anthony, something to watch out for with these lights. They went 4 wide last time. We'll see how they go here.
That's true. Lights are out. Here we go. Turn one a long way down for these drivers, and they're going to have to run all the way down. Look at the jump that the McLaren got the two. The Ferraris, they were going to try and dive bomb in there, but now it's going to be, whoa, they're going to tap it down. Ferrari sandwiching in the AlphaTauri. It's going to go through the Essence for the first time. Artisan leads JD. Here comes Bronson Stafford trying to get through here. Yellow flags at the back of the field. Two cars coming together. I believe that was McCamick and Minerva. McCamick started at the front, so he's falling off all the way to the end of the field. But now as we go through towards the bridge, these drivers still racing like it's the last lap.
Here you got Spencer Hardison, JD up front, and here goes JD. Going to be side by side, going to be trying to make a pass here. Yes, he goes into the grass just slightly. And going to be making this pass on the outside, a very strong move. But here comes Bronson Stafford and AlphaTauri, as well as Brakey. Brakey going to be on those medium tires, trying to make the best move possible here for the first couple of laps and trying to gain as much time. Right now, running in 4th place, not a bad spot for that Ferrari.
And he's keeping pace with the guys in front of him, which is something that's important, because if he goes onto the softs later on, he's going to have a big advantage. Now, for the 2nd place, Bronson Stafford gets the move done through the spoon. Now they go down the long run down to 130R. The fastest part of the track, the fastest turn that we have all in Formula One as they whiz through there. Now, Stafford's closing the gap going into the final chicane. It looks like that JD's going to hold on to a lead, but just barely as they go down the front stretch. Back through turn one we go. It's been a chaotic opening lap, but so far Ferrari the best out of all the rest of them, but not for long because Stafford's got one heck of a car.
Stafford coming to the inside, but going to be blocked by JD there for a second, with Stafford still holding on to the inside. Going to be right at the quarter panel, and going to be now going to be lingering back at the gearbox, letting JD move on, but still in striking distance as car moving forward. That's going to be Tanner Johnson, excuse me, going to be moving up. Trent Jump back in 9th place, and going to be back there with the drivers that have been struggling, as you got McCamick as well as Frozen still all the way back, as now our telemetry went a little bit haywire. But up front, it's going to be JD, Bronson Stafford, your front two, as they're trying to pull away from the rest of the field.
And they're doing a pretty good job of that. There's not a whole lot of places to pass on this racetrack, so you got to do it in a few key spots. Going down to the spoon is one of them, going down into the final chicane through 130R. That's one of the best places to do it. But if you're on DRS going through there, actually you are not on DRS going down through there, because this track only has the one DRS zone down the front stretch. So we were wondering how DRS is going to affect this race. Barely at all. You got to do it down the front straightaway, which is almost just as scary as doing it through 130R, but we're going down through here again. Stafford with a run. He's on the overtake. He's going to go alongside. Oh, man, he just made the pass work. New leader goes to AlphaTauri and Bronson Stafford, but the Ferrari of JD is right there. He's going to have DRS the next lap around if he can do that. So, if he can get the lead back or stay within, we're going to have a race towards the lead for the rest of the race. I can feel it.
Yeah, right now JD is doing exactly what he needs to do for constructor win. He just needs to run in 2nd place, hold on to this position, and hope that Brakey can somehow get back past Spencer Hardison, as cars in the back going to be trying to make some moves forward. JCW now going to be up to 6th place. Caleb Smith down to 7th. And right now, Dyer has not moved up from 8th place. He's just been stuck where he's at, as he is going to be on the closest battle, trying to make striking move here on Caleb Smith. As Caleb goes up into the grass, into the gravel, and going to be losing that position. Dyer making that spot up to 7th.
Caleb Smith is no stranger to the grass. He explored plenty of it in Austria, and he's back in it. But now he's under fire from the Alfa Romeo of Trenton Jump, and Jump's one of those drivers that haven't made all the races, but you just think, what if he did? Alfa Romeo might have had a shot towards the front in the constructors. Heck, they might even be leading it, or not leading, but they might be battling right with Ferrari to take the lead away from his. Now it looks like Caleb Smith's gone back off the track again, so he's having some issues with that Mercedes. Not really sure what's going on. I'll tell you who got the short end of the stick out of all these drivers is Red Bull. They started up on the front 2 rows. Now, JCW only finds himself in 6th place. Duncan McCamick, after a first lap spin through the curves, he ended up following all the way back down. He's trying to make a pass on the Haas now. He's got speed. He's just got to be able to make it work for him. But there's plenty of race to go. Plenty of time if you want to make up moves. And whoa, that was an ambitious move through 130 yards. There's almost contact between them. But man, that could have been really disastrous for the Haas driver if he had gone off the track and hit the wall.
But able to save it and continue to move on. As now up front, Spencer Hardison right on the back gearbox of JD for the 2nd place. As this McLaren trying to get another podium finish and possibly go for 2nd place here. You talked about it before we went live. Spencer Hardison was looking like he was going to be probably the 2nd to 3rd fastest car during this race. It's back of the back of the back. Looks like Dyer as well as JCW might have had some contact there.
Yeah, JCW, another one of the Red Bull drivers, has gone off the track. I think he just overcooked it and might have gone off on his own. So he's gotten back on the track. Now he's joined by Caleb Smith. Those two battling now as he's also reeling in Duncan McCamick, who's going to be battling with these guys very shortly. So this is going to be a battle that we need to look out for. I think JCW's got the fastest car, but you got to think what the state of those tires are at the moment as he's gotten them pretty hot. He's going to have to be dancing around these turns at the moment. As Hardison still trying to run down JD, but now Brakey's trying to run down Hardison. So the Ferraris, they're kind of in panic mode. There's only 4 races of the season left. They have to get a good finish. If they don't get a good finish at this stage of the race, or this stage of the season, then they're risking losing not only the Drivers' Championship, but they're also risking losing the Constructors' Championship, and that's not a good feeling. Is now Hardison trying to battle on JD yet again, but Sam, that's not a good feeling coming in with only 4 races left, that you could lose all of the championships this season.
Yeah, it's not going to be feeling good at all. It's now going to be the DRS given to the McLaren. Now going to be trying to set up for this pass going into turn number 1. Coming with a hard charge, just not close enough to make a pass just yet. But I mean, JD as well as seeing Harlson, I mean, there's so many different entries into these corners, and JD just able to just pull away here in the first sector. And then you see Spencer Hardison through sector 2 and 3 trying to run down the Ferrari, but just not close enough, as Caleb Smith now going to be pulling it into the pits, switching to the harder compounds.
So it looks like that he might be trying a very ambitious strategy of doing a one-stop. What is he on? Is he on hards right now? He is on hards. So
switch to the hards, and this is around the marker that you could switch to the hards and try to make it to the end, but yeah, like you said, this is very ambitious. Most of the drivers are going to be aiming for the 2-stopper with the softs. Their window is going to be opening up next lap from lap 6 to 10 is their window. Then usually they'll be either switching to the mediums or the softs, and then finishing out with the vice versa, whatever they use. As right now, another close battle. It looks like Tanner Johnson going to be under fire by the Renault of the balded one here as they're coming down the fast stretch.
They're coming down into the fastest turn in the series wholesale as you're doing well over 300 Ks going through there, and that's got to be a hold on to your seatbelt situation. And 130R, I keep mentioning it through this race, but it is one of the fastest turns throughout the entire season, certainly the fastest on this circuit. And we talk about fast circuits all throughout the season. We're talking about Monza, Austria, but nothing quite compares to turn 1 through here, which you have to just strap in and hope that the car sticks. As there's a slight right, and then you hit the brakes while you're still turning right, so it's got to be scary. You got to have all the nerves going through there, and then to make a pass through 130R is one of the scariest situations you have to find yourself in, because you don't have DRS help. If you get a good run and get the slipstream going down that straight, then you have a good shot of making the pass done, especially in the heavy braking zone, so you have to kind of time it through 2 turns. Suzuka is one of those tracks that really makes the driver think, that really, it's a driver's track for sure, where you can set up passes way before they happen. And speaking of passes, Trenton Jump is off the track into the gravel pit. Something's happened through the Dunlop curve.
Yeah, looking like Trent Jump was the one that went off there, as we're trying to get back to that action to see what exactly happened as we move back forward to Dyer and Johnson as their battles continues on.
Their battles still happening through here is just the amount of drivers that are still on the track. JCW, Duncan McCamick right now, the 2 Red Bulls battling really close. Spencer Hardison and JD battling. You got a lot of battles happening, but someone who is kind of hoping that these battles continue is Bronson Stafford, because he's just pulling away. Looks like we got a yellow flag out. No one is in that sector. Don't know why there's a yellow flag. McCamick gets the move done through 130R, so move that Red Bull up to 7th over his teammate. It's the highest McCamick's been since the start of the race, slowly making his way up. And now we go back to Spencer Hardison and JD. They almost had a run in through there.
Yeah, they almost had a run in, and then he also dropped back to Dyer and Johnson, as Caleb Smith is going to be wrecked out of this thing, sector 2, and it's going to be a virtual safety car. Going to stay in your Delta and cannot make a pass.
All right, so this is a little bit different than a real safety car, as you basically just, like Sam said, you basically just slow down and stay within a certain time delta until the incident is cleared. He actually wrecked going down a straightaway. So that's interesting. I don't know if something might have broke loose on him.
Might have clipped the grass possibly, and just not being aware of where he was at maybe. As green flag back out in the air, and Dyer almost jumped it perfectly onto Tanner Johnson, but not able to make the pass cleanly just yet, as this is the closest battle on track. First car DNF, that's going to be Caleb Smith and the Mercedes, and that was our 11th place driver getting 0 points. Everyone else is still running. They are going to be getting points. Now it's who's going to get the most points. As right now, Ferrari in a very good spot. As long as Bronson Stafford doesn't get fastest lap, which I believe he already has. I mean, right now, the Ferraris are looking for that bonus point of the fastest lap, as well as finishing at least 2-4, if not 2-3.
Yeah, they got to get both of their cars on the podium to have the best shot at it. Here comes Dyer. He's all over the rear wing of Tanner Johnson going down the front straightaway. He's on DRS's. Dyer, does he have the balls to hold on to it through turn 1? Oh, he does. He overcooks it. Here comes the Haas back on the attack. Can he hold it? No. Give the spot to Dyer. What an amazing pass through turn 1. He held onto his car with the DRS. But man, if you didn't, he's got some major... Oh, dude, that was incredible. I'm geeking out over that pass. I'm so sorry. That's very unprofessional. But, man, that was quite the pass from Dyer. But you got to give credit to Tanner Johnson. He's been able to stay up in the top 5 to that point. He's got some speed at this track. You got to think another what-if scenario. What if he had this kind of pace all season long? We might have a very different story for these Haas drivers. You know, both of them have started pretty much every race so far this season. They're running pretty high in the Constructors' Championship, all things considered, and you know, just another what if. What if they had been able to string together a good run? Because it's not exactly that Tanner Johnson's... he's a great driver. He's got great starts. He's had some good shots, and he's someone that's not particularly familiar with Formula One, so even more credit given to him. He's made this the best out of the sim, and, you know, he might have a pretty good season, be season 13 or season 11, be season 12 or season 13 if he does race there.
Yeah, Slipstream's been going on for a long time. We always lose count of when the season started for these drivers, but it's opened up for the drivers on the softs. They come into the pits, do the one stop to the hards, but the question is, who will be the one going for that challenge to go to the harder compounds? I'm watching for this battle here that's about to brew for 4th place. Dyer is catching up to Brakey, and they're the two drivers that are going to be starting on the mediums, and they're the ones that could be making some big moves later on in this race, but they've got to really try to catch up to Spencer Hardison if possible, as well as catch up to JD, as Dyer within a second of Brakey.
Here's the thing to consider, because they're on the mediums, when they swap over to the softs, it's going to flip. What they're going to be able to do is run much quicker laps than the guys on softs, because they've been able to keep up with them. But it's kind of what we've seen Bronson Stafford do all season, where he starts on the mediums, runs consistently with the guys on softs, and then in the second half of the race just peels away and puts on these massive leads. Is what he's going to do now is Bronson Stafford, he's going to swap to the mediums. It's going to be the reverse of that. But Brakey and Dyer, as you said, are in the best position wholesale right now. Even though that Dyer had a little bit of an issue earlier in the race, they're setting themselves up to have quite possibly a podium finish, if not even Dyer taking a second place away from Brakey if they can have that speed. But all 4 drivers running 2nd through 5th have got consistently the fastest cars other than the AlphaTauri. It's going to be a battle, a dogfight down to the end of this one.
Oh, if Dyer got through that corner, it would have been solid. Now Bronson into the pits, going to be switching to the mediums in the middle of this point. He's going to try to end this race on the softer compound. So this next pit stop for Breaky and Dyer is the most important pit stop that they're going to have when they pit around lap 15, 14 area, because then that's going to be when they have their short period of time to try to gain as much position as they can before Bronson comes in and switches to the softs to try to run everyone down.
Yeah, that's what's going to have to happen is they're still running up within contention of these top two, which are on softs. JD now inherits the lead. He's not going to hold on to it once we go through the cycle of pit stops. Another driver into the pits is Trenton Jump. He's going to just now be coming out of the pit road. I believe also Duncan McCamick was recently in the pits. They're both swapped to hards. So they are definitely not coming down pit road anytime soon if that's the case. So I don't know if that was intentional to be on that strategy or not. The hards didn't really seem that competitive in practice. We'll have to see what happens throughout the rest of the race. But JD Spencer Hardison, the gap only 1.1 seconds. Then back to Breaky, it's 2 seconds. And then back to Dyer, it is only 0.8. So top four at the moment under a blanket basically as they go through to the final chicane. It looks like that Hardison might have wanted to have a look. If they stay out, if both these drivers stay out this time, then one of them's going to have a wicked run. Oh no, Spencer was not able to get a good run going down the front straightaway, so not close enough to be able to use the DRS to his advantage. But he is still right there, so we got a yellow out on the racetrack. That is phantom yellow. No one is actually in trouble. We stay green.
Dyer's able to get by Breaky as Breaky was not able to hold off through corner number 1. And now the Vaulted One up to 3rd place and going to be trying to run down Spencer Hardison and JD. If they start racing up close to one another, they could start be losing time and giving possibly what would be 2nd place to Dyer here.
Well, yeah, that's very true. Is considering when you have Stafford that's only 6 seconds away from Logan Breaky at the moment, and you know as well as I do, it doesn't take 7 seconds to go down pit road and come out. So right now they're all trying to fight for what will be their net gain at the moment, and right now on net it looks like that it's going to be Dyer with a 4th place if they cycle around, although Hardison is losing time. It looks like that it is going to be Dyer catching these guys.
It's so odd the way that we've been seeing JD and Hardison just go back and forth, right? Because at times Spencer is right on the back bumper of the Ferrari, and then the other laps he drops back by a second, but he always comes back through sector 2. It's sector 1 where he loses a lot of this time, as you're seeing it now. Through that very fast corner, that's where he gains all of his time. And then here through the last chicane, he loses it all to JD. Can't get a good run out as JD into the pits.
JD going to come down for his first and probably his only stop. He's going to go on to a fresh set of mediums to finish the race out. That's going to give Stafford one of his positions back. A long trek down pit road for this Ferrari. Now Spencer Hardison finds himself in the lead of the race. Interim leader of the race, I should say, is he's going to be losing that lead later on. But we look back to Dyer, who has actually lost a bit of pace to Hardison. It's almost like Hardison was just trying to catch up to JD, not really considering passing him, but now that he's in the lead, he's found some extra speed. He's the fastest through Sector 2 consistently. He's even faster than Bronson Stafford in some regards through Sector 2, so we're going to have to see if he can really stretch this advantage over Dyer and maybe hold on to what would be a podium spot, or if Dyer can steal a podium away. But tell you who's really in trouble is the Ferraris. Is if Dyer and Hardison are this fast, then JD and Breaky are going to have to be just as fast, if not faster.
Yeah, and before this race even started, I mean, Bronson was talking with Dyer, and I was listening in on that conversation. It was in a joking way, but kind of serious, of Bronson saying, hey, Dyer, you just got to break up the Ferraris, push them back a couple of positions, and you'll be helping me out. And that's the main thing. I mean, due to the fact that Spencer Hardison as well as the Vaulted One have just been so quick recently these last couple of weeks, they've been challenging. As Hardison going to be going into the pits in that McLaren, now gifting the lead to the Vaulted One, who's going to be now hounded by Breaky. Breaky still in DRS zone, which is helping him really stay close here, as ERS is being won by the Vaulted One, and Breaky down on a little bit of that ERS, trying to gain it back. And Anthony, I'm watching these drivers, and it's looking very difficult to gain any ERS. There's only a couple of hard braking zones where you can get ERS back. It's looking very difficult to get it back, though.
It is definitely looking very difficult to get it back, and the time that you're on heavy braking is very minimal at this racetrack. It's really all you need to do is light braking to get around most of these turns. They're going through the hairpin at the moment. That's one of the heaviest braking zones, turn 1 and the final chicane, which is really the only places you're able to regain the ERS. And of the two, as you said, right now it looks like it is going to be Dyer with the advantage in that department, although he's got his fuel light on, and I don't know if that just means the window is open or if he needs to save some fuel. If that's the case and he needs to save some fuel, oh boy, that's going to put a little bit of damper in his plans. Is weaving down the backstretch is going to be these two going through 130, and I don't know, Dyer, he's looking kind of erratic in these last couple of laps, almost like there's something wrong on his car. I don't know if there is or not, but that Renault not looking in the best of ways. It's Brakey's right behind, and this is going to be a battle going into turn 1.
As Brakey going to go on the inside and going to make this pass possibly before we even get to turn 1. Is they're still side by side. Caution in sector 2 is one of the Red Bulls, I believe, that might have got a little out of shape, but Brakey to the point. And here comes Bronson, who's within a second and a half, a little bit over a second and a half from our front two.
Yeah, he has definitely closed the gap. He is consistently the fastest, always has been from the outset of this race, so he might pass these guys on the racetrack before they even need to come down pit road. And how disheartening is that going to have to feel for these drivers, knowing that they got passed by someone who's already made their pit stop and doesn't have to make another stop later on. That's another hard feeling you got to have if you're a Ferrari driver. But Dyer is not catching up to Brakey, which leads me to believe that Dyer is needing to save fuel, because now the fuel light's gone on that Renault, so he was definitely needing to save some fuel, not really being able to be in attack mode right now. So that's got to be a little bit concerning, because if Brakey has been able to run that fast not in fuel saving mode, there might be a little problem of maybe the Renault team under-fueled Dyer's car.
Sector 2 issues, and it's going to be JCW that goes off track into the dirt trap, still stuck in the dirt, as it looks like Trent Jump able to get by the Red Bull machine, but Red Bull having more woes as the pass was made for second place, as Dyer going to be going to the pits. Something I want to bring up is the first time we saw Dyer race here in Slipstream this season was back at Spain, and he did a fantastic job battling with Brakey, with Bronson there for a lot of that time, as Dyer actually going to the harder compounds to finish this race off. Surprising.
Not really sure what the motive behind that one is, but we'll have to look and see. I'm sure we'll figure it out in due time. They might know something that we don't know. The clouds certainly don't look any better than they did when we started the race, so there might still be a threat of rain. If that's the case, he might be saving a soft compound for later on. We don't know. Maybe he's saving another hard compound, or a medium compound, I should say. But, I'm not really sure what that's all about.
Well, to go back to the talk before I saw Dyer going to the pits, is that first race, he actually had his differential off completely. That was actually burning his tires quicker than he wanted to, and that could be a factor that he actually did the same thing again here in Japan, as now this battle for the lead underway, as Brakey under fire from Bronson Stafford. The question is, can Bronson stay on these tires all the way to the end? I mean, with how far Brakey has been able to hold on so far on these mediums, you'd think yes he can, and Bronson might be good to just turn this into a one-stop here from mediums to softs to mediums.
If he can go the distance that Brakey's been able to go, then yeah, absolutely. I think he can do it. It's just a matter of does the rain come? I think is really going to be the factor here. Is there going to be rain? And if there is rain, how late in the race is the rain? Because will we see Stafford try something that Dyer did at Canada, where he stayed out on the mediums, even though it was a light sprinkle outside? The whole track wasn't wet in that situation, but if it gets any heavier than a light sprinkle here tonight, then I don't know if you can stay out on these softer compounds or these wet or these dry weather compounds, even if it's only light, given how this is a much different type of track than Canada was. But Bronson Stafford he's put himself in a good position now. If he can go the rest of the way, he can coast because Frankie still needs to pit. So at this stage in the race, Stafford doesn't need to push. He can literally back off. And even if he has to nurse these tires around for the remainder of the race, I think he's good to go if he can do that. Now, that might change if Brakey comes down this lap. Then it will be close for Stafford because there's about 15 laps left in the race. Well, there's 10 laps. Well, there's going to be 11 laps left in the race, but the differential is that it'll be about 16 lap-old tires for Stafford by the end of the stint. So if you're a math geek, then this is your time to shine. If not, like I'm not, then this is where you kind of scratch your head and really just kind of wait and see where the cards fall.
JCW going to be coming into the pits, as coming into the pits now is going to be Brakey, and Brakey will see what tires he switches to. It's going to be about 10 laps to go. Should be going to the softs, and that is what he goes to. Brakey now going to be trying to run down Bronson Stafford, and now you got JD in third place, not being ran down by Spencer Hardison yet. So the question of where will Ferrari run? Well, if they don't make mistakes, we could be seeing them running 2-3 as Brakey going to be dropping back to fourth place. He's now going to be trying to run down the McLaren, and there's Dyer now as they're going to be side by side almost. As down Dyer going to be on the harder compounds compared to the soft that Brakey's going to be on. So maybe Brakey's going for the early push, but then Dyer's thinking about the end game of when everyone else's tires are just gone.
That is very true, although with the amount of laps left, I can't figure out a scenario where the hard tires work. Put it a good example, if he was on the soft tires right now, Dyer would be battling Brakey right now, but he can't keep up just because of his tire compound. So this is going to be really hurtful for the Renault team, as we've seen now Brakey on the back end of Hardison, who's on the mediums. Everyone else in front of Brakey right now are on mediums. Brakey is the only driver on the racetrack that's running softs at the moment. So clearly the faster car is going to be Brakey. It's just a matter of can he even get up to his teammate and pass him for second place, which is something that, you know, he'd like for bragging rights.
Also, Brakey, with being the only car on the softs right now, can he try to beat Bronson Stafford's time that he put on with the mediums earlier on these stints on these tires? As we look here at what that fastest lap time was for a second here. Now, fastest lap was a 1:30.2. The rest of the field has not even gotten close to a 1:30. The rest of them have ran 1:31. This is JCW back in the pits. But right now, Brakey was gaining on to Spencer Hardison, but he's now losing time to the McLaren.
Yeah, but he is running some very fast laps. Remember that Hardison is not very fast through Sector 1. This is where Brakey's going to make up a lot of time. As you see the gap close up quite significantly going through here. Is it's now down to a second going through the curves and now going through Dunlop. So these drivers, or these two drivers I should say, are still right with each other, and all that time they're reeling in JD. So Hardison faster than JD. Purple Sector 1 for Logan Brakey, as he's really put the jets on. He's in the slipstream of the McLaren going through the hairpin. This is going to be a run down to Spoon, and if he can make the pass done in 130R, then he's got clear track in front of him. He can just coast up to his teammates, so I think that Brakey's put himself in a really good position to at least get second place.
130R has been where we've seen Spencer be his fastest. We'll see if he can hold off the Ferrari, who is trying to aim for the fastest lap of the race, trying to get the bonus point, and also trying to get Ferrari 2-3, which would be a massive point day for them to try to cut down on the constructors' lead that AlphaTauri has. Only one driver of AlphaTauri was able to show up for this race, Bronson Stafford, who's leading the way. Everyone else trying to run them down in some fashion. And Ferrari, this would be a dream race for them to have, to run 2-3 with the fastest lap.
Yeah, and considering that a couple of races ago it was a very different situation and it was looking like it was all but over for Ferrari. But now they're back in the hunt. They've got a chance to do it this race and then 3 other to follow. So it's still very possible for them to make this up. I believe it was the race after Silverstone where only one of the Ferraris made the start. Struggling to remember which one that was. It was
Brakey. Don't give me Kamek. No, into the wall. I just dropped back to watch him try to make the pass on Johnson, but that's going to be a caution stuck in the dirt, and that's going to be a virtual safety car, which saves Bronson Stafford, really. And I think the rest of the field now is thinking, oh gosh, we could have possibly had a safety car. Everyone could have stopped to the softs and tried to have a better shot of running everyone else down.
Yeah, those virtual safety cars, they really only benefit the leader. It looks like it's going to be another one of those that we're going to have. We had 2 so far this race. We're back under green flag conditions, so if the incident is on a part of the track where there really isn't anybody that can pull the car off to the side, then they'll usually go virtual just to stop the race from slowing down too much as we're back underway. This really kind of helps Brakey because now he's reeled in Spencer Hardison just by being within the delta. And now he's on the attack. He's had better exits from the chicane. He's right on the back gearbox of the McLaren, but Hardison putting on the jets. Brakey's gonna have DRS. Can he get the move done? I don't think he can. I think he's too far back unless he really sends it.
I'm impressed. Spencer got a much better launch out of that corner. Didn't even use any of the overtake. That was just pure speed beating out the DRS, and we're seeing these cars, they're jostling back and forth, but it's going to be the McLaren of Hardison able to hold off Brakey here so far, as the Ferrari kind of getting frustrated because the longer the run goes, the more he's going to get in trouble, and Spencer Hardison is in trouble, goes into the wall, almost took out Dyer.
Yeah, that was incredible. He actually held on to that car. He's going to get it going back the right direction, does not DNF from the race, but man, that was something.
Oh my goodness, Tanner Johnson's out of this thing.
What happened there? Did he crash?
I think he might have wrecked back in Sector 1, possibly.
He's still there. He's still off to the side. Sector 1
he
yellow.
Might have just lagged out in his... I don't know what exactly happened to the Haas, but he's now out of this thing. As Hardison's going to be backing down to the broken wing, and Dyer is now starting to run down the Ferrari.
Bronson Stafford's in the pits.
He might be seeing that the wet weather is coming. No, he's going to just switch to the softs, knowing that he's got enough time to do so, and he's going to be able to pass JD here. He feels comfortable, and he cannot allow the Ferraris to possibly get the fastest lap. He has to get the fastest lap. He's now going to drop back to second place.
He's going to drop back to second. He has got a pretty big lead, though, as here comes Brakey down the straightaway. They're not going to even be close to Stafford. So, yeah, I think Stafford, knowing that he's got the fastest car, he's going to go for the fastest lap here. He does not want anything for Ferrari to get closer. And I believe it was Spa that was where JD didn't make the start. It was the one right before Monza. So that was that race that really hurt Ferrari because Stafford won that race, but then Brakey finished outside the top 5, I believe. He's the one that got stuck on the entrance to pit road. He finished all the way back in 10th place by the time the race was over, and there wasn't a second Ferrari to actually have anyone to make up for the damage done. So then Monza happened, then Singapore, which the Ferraris look strong in Singapore. Now we're here in Suzuka. Ferrari's right now leading the way, although for how long? Brakey is only 3.4 back to Stafford. Stafford closing the gap at 3.1 seconds to JD, but JD saying, I'm going to fight you. You've already locked up the championship for the drivers. We can't go after you anymore. But you are not taking this Constructors' Championship away from us. That's what Ferrari's mantra is. So I think that this is going to be the hardest pass that Stafford's going to have to make all season because JD is not going to give it up.
It's seven laps to go, about to be 6 laps to go. And that lead that JD had has already gone away, down 1.2 seconds. It was 3.5. It is now less than 2 seconds. The AlphaTauri is coming with a head of steam. They're going to be trying to put the fastest lap here, as well behind them. You got Brakey, who's under fire, looking like a great day for Ferrari. Could be going away and pushing back Brakey back to 4th place and knocking the fastest lap. That'd be terrible to see for this Ferrari team that was looking to maximize as many points as they could based off of not getting the win.
We were wondering what the tires were going to be like for Dyer later in the run. I have to say I was wrong. He's caught up to Brakey and looks to be a little faster than Brakey. So the soft's already been used up on Brakey's car. Dyer's been able to keep up, so that raises a question. Will Stafford's tires fall off? He's right on the back end of JD going through Spoon, so I have a feeling we're going to see a pass for the lead done by the time they get down to the chicane, but can his tires hold up? Does JD secretly have the fastest car right now? Here he goes. No, that's going to be a really tough one to make, and he makes it. Oh.
Just in time, and Bronson Stafford, 2 laps after pitting, lost over 3.5 seconds to JD, takes the lead back and trying to pull away and also trying to put down the fastest lap, and he does in dominating fashion with a 129.2. No one else in the field has put that down during practice or qualifying. That is incredible to see from the AlphaTauri team. And now we drop back for this battle for 3rd place. Will Dyer be able to run down Brakey? He's gone within 2/10, but that's as close as we've seen the Renault get.
Yeah, he's got to do a lot of work. They're running out of laps to do it, and this race has gone by pretty quick for these drivers. It's been one of the longer races, up to 50% races this season, but it's still one of the longest tracks to get around on lap time, one of the most technical tracks, and right now we're seeing just which drivers are the best at the technical courses and which ones aren't. Right now, Dyer, even though he's on the hard compound, he's been able to make those tires work for him. Brakey trying to keep his lead over Dyer to about a second or even over a second, as DRS really isn't an issue at this track because he only got the 1 DRS zone down the front straightaway. JD kind of running in a world all of his own. He's losing the lead but not really being caught by Logan Brakey at the moment. Trenton Jump is in 5th place. Give some credit to Trenton Jump. He has made his way from the back of the field all the way up to 5th. Spencer Hardison has fallen off massively. He is running 6th place at the moment. Was running as high as 3rd place at one point in time. Is running as high as 2nd place at one point in time. Now finds himself all the way back here. JCW, another story, he's running towards the back as yellow flag in Sector 1. I think that was someone coming into the pits, but Johnson, McCamick, and Smith are out of this race, so everyone that's still running is guaranteed points. But Sam,
Dyer's there for the pass for 3rd place. He made the move coming out of the final corner. That was faster, and now he's going to be up to 2nd place. Can he pull away from Brakey, though? As Brakey, if he's within DRS, he can keep himself there for the next couple of laps or so.
Yeah, that's something that he's hoping for, something he's praying for when he gets to the front straightaway, is if he is within 1 second. Although I gotta feel that Dyer was being held up by Brakey just by being in the dirty air, although he did not have a very good sector through the Sector 1 through the curves. Now through Dunlop, he's losing a little bit of time, but right now, Dyer, a very fast car, might be pulling away. But Sam, given how this race has gone, are you surprised with how the tires have held up, and will we get rain? It's getting down to the last bit of the race. It's looking more unlikely that we will.
Yeah, it's looking very unlikely that we're going to be seeing rain. I think if we see rain this lap, maybe we'll see some drivers on the back half come into the pits and try to get tires as quick as possible. But a lot of our front runners might think about just staying out, and if they have to pit on that last lap, maybe pit. But right now, I mean, Bronson Stafford is thinking just pull away, get as big of a gap as possible. But here comes Brakey, who's coming and hounding, still within striking distance of the Renault.
How deep does he drive it into the chicane? Oh, he drove it in very deep. He's going to have the DRS. He's got a good corner exit as well. So I don't think he's going to be close enough, though. I think that Dyer got a good enough run that it's not going to be an issue going into the first turn. But Brakey has not gone away. You know how badly that Ferrari needs this 2-3 finishing position. This is a championship that could be potentially on the line based on where you finish, and this is a pretty big points jump if he gets this position. So he's going to be fighting all the way to the end of the race to get this 3rd place. And if they can get both their cars on the podium going into, I believe the next race is going to be in Austin, they're going to have a good shot to take the lead back in the constructors.
Yeah, coming into this race, Ferrari was behind by 31 points and was needing to have a 3-2 finish with a bonus point for the fastest lap. Not going to get that fastest lap, as that's going to go to Bronson Stafford, who that's what he needed to do to help out AlphaTauri by himself get as good of a run into Austin next week. But this challenge for the constructors really isn't going to be closed up until that final race, I think. As right now, I mean, especially if we don't see Hazardous come back next week or the week after that, this still leaves this thing wide open for Ferrari to come back at AlphaTauri and get constructors.
It does indeed. Only 3 races remain after this race. It feels weird. We've already come to the end of the season. It's felt like this season has flown by, but we are in the closing stages of it, as next week we have Austin, which a lot of these drivers are kind of have mixed feelings about, but if you're Ferrari, you know that you can do good there, as this track and Austin are very similar to each other in the fact that they kind of drive the same way. So if they're having this good luck here, then you can be betting that they're going to have a good run there. And then we go to Yas Marina for what is going to be the penultimate race of this season, which a lot of drivers are good at, and a lot of drivers have marked on their calendar as the make or break races. And then we go to Brazil, Sao Paulo, Interlagos, one of the most historic tracks on the Formula One circuit. We might not have it for much longer in the real world, but it'll always live long in our hearts and in sim racing. So we're going to get the best race that we can out of that for our season finale, and that is going to be something I think special if it comes down to a Constructors' Championship battle. That is going to be intense. We might see some sparks fly in the final race in Brazil, and you know the Brazilian fans are going to be loving every minute of it.
Yeah, Sao Paulo is always, it's one of my favorites. It's such a small, fast track where you get to see a lot of action. There's a couple of spots where you can make some passing zones, but those first couple of corners, they're so quick, intense, coming downhill. It's always fun to watch, but like we said, that's in a couple of weeks. We still got Austin next week. That is notorious for being very difficult to make some passes and some pretty hard braking zones, and also some S's that looked ridiculous. If you hit them right, you go quick. If you hit them wrong, it goes terrible with your lap time.
Indeed so, as we are on the final lap. 27 out of 27. Bronson Stafford hasn't led all of them, but he felt confident enough to come down pit road an extra time to get fresher tires, get the fastest tire, and has put in the fastest lap of the race. A 7.4 second lead over JD at the moment. Dyer still holding on to a 3rd place, but if everything goes well, that's going to be your podium positions. And Sam, what more can you say about Stafford that we haven't already? This man can literally put his car wherever he needs it to and get the job done. He's got it done all throughout the season, looking to add Suzuka to his list of tracks in this season for winning the races. I don't think there's any stopping him anytime soon.
No, there really isn't. Bronson Stafford, his 7th podium of the season, 7th pole, of the season, going for his pole number 12 and win number 12 of the season. Of the 12 races that have been ran, AlphaTauri, Bronson Stafford has won every single one. If he gets around these corners, I should say. He's got the sector 3 to get by, last couple of chicanes, and Anthony, it's been a fabulous season. He locked up the championship last week, but he's going to get the win here at the end of this race at Japan. It goes to Bronson Stafford, win number 12 for AlphaTauri.
And a extended lead in the points, even though he's already locked it up, but a statement saying, yeah, I've won, but I'm not going to stop. And he is just going to continue. He's going for the season sweep now. He wants to win every single race, and I think that if nothing changes, he's on track to do that. It's going to take something dramatic for him to lose a race at this point. I've been saying it a couple of times throughout the season, but we have our very own Lewis Hamilton. There just seems to be no stopping AlphaTauri. It just seems to be no stopping Bronson Stafford. This track, or this car and driver combo, has worked wonders, as JD officially going across the line in 2nd place, and Dyer holds on the hards. I didn't think it was possible, but I guess I was wrong. And man, Matt Dyer, another podium. You alluded to it. You got to think, what if he was here for the whole season?
Yeah, I don't think we would have been seeing it being between Breaky or JD trying to run down Bronson Stafford. It might have been Dyer that was trying. But, we know that championship-wise, the driver of the day goes to Matt Dyer there as the balded one. And, the way that this season's been going, everyone knows Bronson was going to win the Drivers' Championship, but what if Constructors would have looked like for that Renault team if we saw Dyer here for the whole entire season, as like we've seen it all season long, AlphaTauri celebrating on the podium.
AlphaTauri, Ferrari back on the podium with JD, and Renault back on the podium with Matt Dyer. And you got to think this is going to be a pretty familiar sight that we're going to see throughout the rest of the season. But your official results coming out of Suzuka are going to be as follows. We went through the top 3 already. Logan Brakey got a 4th place position. You know he wanted to get 3rd, get both of those cars on the podium, but could not get it done. Hardison made his way back up to 5th after going down quite a bit. Jumped to 6th. Looks like it's going to be Frozen, JCW, Johnson, McCamick, and Smith to round out our top, or our whole field of 11 cars. And you know, if everyone had shown up for this race, we could have potentially had a 15-car field for tonight's race, but some drivers did not make it. But Sam, what a race. Another performance by Bronson Stafford. He takes another win, and going, like I said, going in these next 3 races, it's really just going to be down to, can Ferrari keep within contention of the constructors, as I think that coming out of this race, they've taken a chip into it, but they haven't taken the lead yet.
No, they really haven't taken the lead on it, and it's going to be difficult for them to continue to keep that lead for AlphaTauri and try to chip at it. But I got to give credit to JD. It's been a while since we've seen him on the podium. It's been Brakey who's been up there, so he gets 2nd place. But as we're waiting for interviews to be done, we're going to be bringing in Matt Dyer, who finished in 3rd place here at Japan. Matt, it's Sam and Anthony up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, it was tire strategy that helped you out get a 3rd place finish, but it started off on a rocky note. What exactly happened during qualifying? As we saw that you went a little off track, but what exactly happened there?
Really, the mediums just had no grip. I wanted to go off strategy to what everybody else was going to do, so it just had no grip. But it had, obviously, like, I would have done something different if it was regular qualifying. I think I would have been fine, but not being able to do my own outlap and not being able to heat up the tires properly, like how I'd want them, it just had no grip, and I just slid off.
And then also we saw you battling there with Brakey for most of this race. How was that throughout this whole entire race, battling out with him?
It was pretty good. I almost felt like it was like back to what we were doing at Monza, but I knew I was waiting on my pit lap. If he was to pit, I was going to stay out there longer. But when I saw that he kept going, that's when I pitted. I knew I had to go in there quick to get my tires up to temp. So I wasn't sure if he was going to go too hards or soft. But when he came out in the softs with how much time, I knew I could get him, because by the end of the race, his tires would be done. So it ended up working out for me.
Yeah, you made those hard tires last and be effective for a lot longer than I thought. Honestly, I thought that Brakey was going to have the advantage, but you proved me wrong. That was some good piece of driving. I want to go to one of the passes you made earlier in the race around the outside of turn 1. What a pass that you did going through there. I believe it was on one of the Ferraris, if I'm not mistaken. That was one of the most crazy passes I've seen out of anybody this season so far. What was going through your mind making that pass? You had DRS, you were launching it in there, almost went off track, but still somehow made the pass work. And kind of go through the process of making a pass like that in turn 1.
Sometimes you just gotta, quote your Carlos Sainz, just gotta lick it and send it. I knew if I had to get past him as soon as I could, just to make my whole strategy work out. And I knew I went in there hot, just trying to make it, but luckily, it ended up sticking.
Well, Matt, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, just shout out to the Rep Sports and Raise Energy. I'm ambassador for them, so if you use the code BALD15 at repsports.com, you get about 15% off, and they have sample kits for you to try everything. So definitely check them out.
Well, that's Matt Dyer, going to be finishing 3rd here at Japan in the Renault squad and continuing to get these podiums, finishing out this season. Congratulations, Matt, on a 3rd place finish, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
And now we're going to be bringing in JD into the booth. Like we said, haven't talked to JD in a while. We'll see how he's feeling with 2nd place finish. JD, it's Sam and Anthony up in the booth. You got us?
Hey, I got you guys.
I mean, it's been a while since we've talked to you, but I mean, how does it feel getting a 2nd place finish? I know everyone's trying to gun for Bronson, but he's just been out there dominating all season long. But how does the 2nd place finish for you?
I mean, considering where I started on the grid, I think I'll take a second place any day of the week.
Yeah, it was a rough start for a lot of drivers. I mean, the way that this all started. But for you, you were trying to stay on a similar strategy as Bronson. Were you surprised when you saw him coming to the pits again?
No, not at all. I think he wanted the extra point for the constructor's title. So I saw him go into the box on my display, and I knew he was going to come out behind me, but I didn't think I'd really have much for him. So I didn't really bother with it too much. I think I tried to check him up a little bit on a fast lap, but he was just out on his own zip code. So it was really nothing. It wasn't really even a blip on my radar. He was there, and then he was gone, and I was back to running where I was focused.
Now, you did run a pretty good race, all things considered. Ferrari really needed a good finish here tonight, and you certainly delivered on that good finish, getting a second place, and your teammate, not quite what they were expecting to get. They were trying to get a podium, and Dyer just absolutely used the hard tires to his advantage. But going forward, you're chipping into the lead in constructors. It's still very much possible to take it back. AlphaTauri needs both of their cars to show up consistently for the next 3 races. If that doesn't happen, and if you guys keep finishing within the top 4, then mathematically you could, by the time getting to Brazil, take the championship away from AlphaTauri. Going forward in these next 3 races, what's kind of the mindset for you and Brakey going into the last 3 races, and what are your overall goals going for the next 3 races?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure that we're super focused on, I mean, we are, but we're not focused on the constructors, if that makes sense. Like, if Shane shows up, it's kind of their ball and their court. If he doesn't, then we need something short of finishing 2-3 or 1-2 for the final 3 races to make something happen, I think. So I don't think we're too stressed about it. I think we just want to put up good results and just show that we're the class of the field. And I think we have our own little interpersonal battle going here on the driver's table. So, we'll see what happens, and just kind of take the blows as they come.
Yeah, I mean, you strip Bronson out of the equation. Ferrari certainly has been a class act out here, with you guys just getting podiums almost every single week. But JD, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Just want to thank you guys again. I think you put up with our with our show every week, for better or for worse. So it's cool to have you guys on the broadcast. I actually had it on in the background this time, and it was pretty cool to listen to. And I just want to thank everyone this week for showing up. I know we're getting into the kind of the dog days of the season, but I think having 11 drivers on the grid, shows that I think we're putting me and Logan are putting on a decent series. It's one thing if you start with, I think we started the season with 8 and then end the season with 6 or 5 or 4 regularly showing up, and then having like 1 or 2 people here or there. But to have consistently 10, 11 people and more people showing up and being a part of what mostly Logan, but myself too, have built, it's pretty cool to see. So thanks everyone that showed up tonight, and hopefully the next 3 races we'll put on a show.
Well, it's JD, part of Team Ferrari. Getting a second place finish here at Japan, and good luck next week. Hopefully we'll be talking to you then.
Yep. Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
And the man that just keeps on winning. I mean, it's more of a segment for us just to talk to Bronson at this point. Our 12th time winner, Bronson Stafford. Bronson and Sam and Anthony up the booth. You got us?
Yeah, what's up?
So 12 wins. You already got the championship last week. How are you feeling about constructors after the performance you had here today?
Well, did math, and Ferrari basically had to finish second and third every race if I were to win it, and to basically even have a shot to tie. So pressure just got put up for them. They pretty much have to try and win one of these races, or hope Shane doesn't show up the rest of the season.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be interesting for the Ferrari team as the pressure. We just talked to JD. He feels like the pressure really isn't on them. They're not really stressing about it. But I mean, it's still a title chance for them. But it seems like it's more of, hey, let's see if Bronson makes a mistake at this point in their eyes. But you really haven't been making too many mistakes. We saw that you went for the softs there late, trying to get those points. Was there any stress trying to get by JD there as he was trying to put on a little bit of pressure, but really not too much?
No, they were on such high downforce setups that what found out basically was carrying 15 kilometers an hour more on the straight without DRS. So yeah, I think you kind of saw with both of them when we got up to the Ferraris. They tried to block the inside line, but still was clear of them by the time we got to 130R and everything. So I think it was just, plus tires were so much pressure. I mean, in the last 3 laps gapped it so much. Yeah, wasn't too concerned. Just literally, Shane wasn't here, so I figured I had to go for fastest lap. So I started with the 2-stop from the get-go, and it worked out.
And then you decided that you were going to play a little bit of mind games and go on to the soft slate in the race, intentionally lose the lead, then destroy the morale by getting the fastest lap. That was one of the craziest things that I saw, because we were talking about something else, and then I looked up and was like, wait, Bronson's pitting. Why is he pitting? But that was incredible on that part, and that secured the fastest lap bonus, which, like you said, that's very important going into these last 3 races. But I kind of feel it's kind of relaxing right now at AlphaTauri, as really these last 3 races for you are more like consolation races. What's your mindset going into the last 3 races, and do you think that there's just more Bronson Stafford wins? And can you, I shouldn't say it's all easy going, because you still have that goal of winning every single race this season. Do you still think that's possible, and is that the goal right now?
Yeah, at this point there's 3 races left. Might as well set a record and try and do it. But the biggest thing really is just trying to get constructors, and if one of the Ferraris are able to steal a win in these next 3 races, or like next race for example, then the pressure's definitely more on for constructor. But as of right now, I actually feel pretty relaxed in it. If I can just keep up the consistent form, then I don't even really need Shane's necessarily to score a lot of points. Even the 9th, 10th place finish every week would get us the constructors by at least 3 or 4 points. So it's really just gonna see how it goes week by week. But I think after next week, if I win next week again, I think we have a really solid shot at constructors, and from there on it'll be just really comfortable.
Certainly is. I mean, it's been the story all season long. Bronson Stafford getting another win. 12 in total here today. But Bronson, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs. You guys for broadcasting it every week. It's still fun to go back and watch. This one will be fun, actually. This was a fun race from a driver standpoint. Even like other drivers were saying that as well. So that'll be fun, and just basically JD and Breaky and stuff throwing the league on, and having people turn out and stuff. I heard Caleb might not be back for the rest of the season, unfortunately, but it happens. But otherwise, it's been a lot of fun. So everyone that just really does it every week. As Bronson Stafford on part of AlphaTauri gained the win here today, already locked up the championship driver stance last week, now trying to aim for constructors for the rest of the season. Bronson, have a great rest of your night, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week.
All right, thanks.
Anthony, another week, the same script sometimes for the person that wins it, but for the rest of the field, that was interesting to watch and see how everyone else had to react to the different strategies that were thrown out here today.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it was going to be a very different looking top 3 at the very least, just based on practice and qualifying data. And then we got into the race and it blew everything out the window. And got to give credit to JD, who really pulled something out for Ferrari. They really needed that. But some drivers that didn't do well that I expected to finish potentially in the top 3, certainly the top 4, was Spencer Hardison, who had one of the fastest cars consistently throughout the weekend. And even drivers such as the 2 Red Bull drivers, they both had problems happening this race. And it was kind of a shock, I gotta say, seeing both of them have such hard luck, just one after the other, and then nothing really came of it. So, you know, sometimes you can't trust things that come out of practice data, but certainly not the top 3 I was envisioning, but a great race nonetheless. This was one of the more solid races where it was just nonstop action all the way across the board. And Sam, I don't think the action is going to slow down any at all with these last 3 races.
Yeah, with us going to Australia and all the other, going to, Austin, it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers react to the rest of this season for sure. But yeah, I'm more so interested to see how Ferrari's going to react now. Do they try to put in all the effort into possibly getting the constructors, or has it? I mean, it sounded like from JD during the interview, all the really passion that they could have had at the start of the season is kind of faded out at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough situation to be right now because everything has to go right in order for them to have a shot at it. So if anything at all goes left or right of what they need to have, then I don't know if something tells me that they have a shot. But at this stage, I think AlphaTauri might sweep the season of the most. Speaking of sweeping the season, out of the most wins by a team, out of just taking the constructors and having Bronson Stafford win every single race, AlphaTauri looking extremely good right in the moment. And I gotta think that all the executives at AlphaTauri are like, hey, sign these guys on for another season. We need them.
Yeah, I mean, you'd imagine that they are going to be trying to keep all their assets where they can. But for here at Japan, it was Bronson Stafford that got the win once again for number 12, for round number 12. He's won every single thing. His goal is to win the whole entire season. But Anthony, once again, thanks for being up in the booth with me for another night of watching Bronson dominate.
It's always been fun, and it's kind of sad to see that the season's coming to an end because it just seems like it started. I looked at my calendar. I was like, oh, we only have 3 races left after the night. That's a bummer, but hopefully here's to come for later seasons going forward. But who knows? Something might change. But I've really enjoyed being with you for these Formula One races, and we still got one last race at IndyCar. So this is the season for championships. If you want to see championship racing, I know NASCAR just ended, so got more championships on the way at Flatout Racing.
Yeah, more and more championships throughout the week are getting set up. Tomorrow night is going to be another race for the G-Force ARCA series, as well as the for the RTG, Winston Cup series on the NR side, as those drivers are getting set up in the middle of their seasons. But on Wednesday, playoffs are getting set up. The last race of the regular season for the SARG Super Speedway Series, they're going to be at Daytona. And then, like you said, Anthony, on Thursday, we've got the Fuel IndyCar Series at Homestead for the finale to figure out if Riley Thompson, if there's going to be enough drivers that show up, Riley Thompson might, just by starting, lock up the championship there, as well as the RTG Talladega Challenge, their Super Speedway series on the NR side. And then we're going to be on Saturday night. That's going to be when we're going to have the FTF Grand National Series having their final race of the season. So a lot of series and leagues coming into an end this week, and it's going to be interesting to see who wins the championships during those leagues. But here tonight, it was Bronson Stafford again at Japan, and continuing on, we go to Austin next week. But for myself, Sam Dyer, as well for Anthony McCurry, thanks for watching another presentation of the Flatout Racing Network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like on Facebook, and please get some sleep tonight because it's going to be a wild one for the next couple of days here on the Flatout Racing Network. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you next week at Austin.